Hi, welcome. This is week 7 of History and the American Revolution. This is our 4th discussion board. Today I'm going to discuss the Second Amendment to the Constitution and all the aspects and debates about the rights to bear arms. Is it just the military, or is it the individual citizen, or is it both? The Second Amendment to the United States Constitution protects the right of the people to keep and bear arms and was adopted on December the 15th, 1791 as part of the first 10 amendments contained in the Bill of Rights. The Second Amendment of the United States Constitution reads, "A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed." Such language has created considerable debate regarding the amendment's intended scope. On one hand, some believe that the amendment's phrase, "the right of the people to keep and bear arms," creates an individual constitutional right for citizens of the United States. Under this individual rights theory, the United States Constitution restricts legislative bodies from prohibiting firearm possession. On the other hand, some believing with the language of well-regulated militia argues for a collective rights theory. This asserts that citizens do not have an individual right to possess guns and that local, state, and federal legislative bodies therefore possess the authority to regulate firearms without implicating a constitutional right. Modern debate about the meaning of the Second Amendment have focused on whether it protects the private right of individuals to keep and bear arms or the right that can be exercised only through militia organizations like the National Guard. In 1939, the U.S. Supreme Court considered the matter in U.S. v. Miller. The court adopted a collective rights approach in this case. It explained that the framers included the Second Amendment to ensure the effectiveness of the military. In 2008, the United States Supreme Court revisited the issue in the case of the District of Columbia v. Heller. The court proclaimed that the Second Amendment established an individual right for the U.S. citizens to possess firearms and struck down the D.C. ban on handguns. The court continued to strengthen the Second Amendment through the 2010 decision in McDonald v. the City of Chicago and holds that the right to keep and bear arms is among the most fundamental rights necessary to the nation's system of ordered liberty and is deeply rooted in our history and tradition. The founding generation mistrusted standing armies. They believed that governments of large nations are prone to use soldiers to oppress people. Using a militia was deeply rooted in English history and possessed considerable appeal among the colonists. People like Alexander Hamilton, although he did support the individual citizen's right, still believed that a militia was not enough to substitute, to really protect a new nation. It needed a national army. Hamilton stated in the Federalist Papers in his support of the individual, though, that the best we can help for concerning the people at large is that they be properly armed. There was great debate between the Federalists and the Anti-Federalists on this matter. A great deal has changed since the Second Amendment. The military has grown. It is very unlike the 18th century armies. And the laws have changed as well with gun control. This is really aimed at preventing the misuse of firearms by irresponsible citizens, but it affects law-abiding citizens to defend themselves against violent crimes. There's also the biblical point of this. A lot of people use Matthew 5:9, in which Jesus pronounces a blessing of the peacemakers and apply it to the issue of gun control. The idea is that guns are hostile to peace. There's nothing theologically or logical that links guns to lack of peace. Sometimes guns help maintain civil peace. Police officers are peace officers, in fact, that they carry guns to maintain the peace in society. A man that protects his home and family by being armed, in fact, helps keep the peace by disallowing a criminal act to take place. Other ones are Luke 22, 35, 38, such as that one. You also have Matthew 24, 43. And Luke 11:21 that support this in a biblical text. In principle, at least, this seems to give the right to the people to keep arms for personal defense. Our forefathers certainly believed and provided for it in our Constitution.